This is the 5 Point Play Podcast, the Die Hard Duke Basketball Fans Podcast. We're going a cappella, the three-man weave. Myself, Pablo, and D is back. How you feeling, D?
Better, man, much better. I was down bad. I don't know what I had, but I was down
You,
bad.
you had the same thing that
Glad
Duke
you
had
feeling
against
good.
Arizona.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But,
So you got that Caleb Love.
Oof.
oh, come on,
Not
man.
that. It wasn't
I know
that
he
bad.
was in the area.
It wasn't that
That's
bad.
come on, man. But I was saying that Duke, we got a 74-65 win against Michigan State up in Chicago, Champions Classic. Pablo, it was an ugly game. Let's just be honest with each other. It was a really ugly game. I think if we had played the second game playing like the way we did, we'd probably get blown out of the gym by both Kansas and Kentucky. But we played who's in front of us. Tom Izzo, you figure he tried to, dirty the game up a little bit. He did to an extent. With all those turnovers, I thought we came out with a little bit more energy in the second half, even though Michigan State kind of gave us a little punch early in that second half. But overall, I'm kind of happy with the resiliency of the team. I thought Duke fan base's favorite player, Ryan Young, I thought he played well and gave us some good minutes. But really, you and I have been speaking all off season, about Caleb Foster. He was the man. He was the reason we won that game. But before we get into all things that are amazing about Caleb Foster, talk about your overall reactions to the game.
Yeah, for me, just like you said, I mean, the first half, it was ugly. It was that the first 12, 13 minutes or so was like really bad. Like, but it was bad on both ends, you know what I'm saying, for both teams. And I just think that I think both teams played really, really hard. And that's what their focus. I think they were so focused on just trying to stop each other and play defense that they just probably forgot their offense in the locker room or something. You know what I mean? And I thought it was kind of funny. It was kind of entertaining to watch. Even though it was sad at the same time. And I just was like, damn, man. I wanted Duke to get it together, as fast as possible. And eventually they did in the second half, and they pulled out the win. You know what I mean? Like, I expected them to win, but I thought I thought that the offense would step up a little more, especially in the first half. But ultimately, we got the dub, and I'm happy.
Yeah, I mean, a win's a win, and we needed it, and we're glad that we're not 1-2.
Hmm.
2-1 is a lot better, right? And we got
Yeah.
three easy games coming up where we can find out a lot more about ourselves and try to clean and clear up a few things. But watching that game, obviously, like Pablo said, we're happy to get out of there with a win. What were your kind of overall reactions after the game?
I mean, I don't think anybody's reaction other than Caleb Foster's correct reaction. I mean, I think that was the this is Caleb Foster. This is who he thought he was. I mean, the way he played from first half to second half is wildly different if you look at it. And I don't want to step on the toes of our coach's corner section of this podcast, but just look at how he shot the ball in the first half versus how he shot the ball in the second half. Slowed his body down, squared his feet, followed through, bang, bang, bang. What, we had 3 in a row? Wild.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, that can go for the whole team, to be quite honest. I think the whole team is rushing some shots. And if they just settle down and square up and shoot the ball, they'll be fine. They're tall enough to shoot over anybody except maybe Roach in certain situations. But, I mean, the way Duke reined it in, I think is really respectable. And that's a good Michigan State team that's going to give people fits throughout the season and deep into March. And the first 12 minutes was ugly, but I think, like Pablo said, you need to credit both teams for that ugliness. I mean, they were in your face. They were inside your pocket. It was gritty. It was gritty basketball, and Duke won, and you're going to have to win games like that in March, and it was good to see.
Yeah, Pablo, right back to you. In terms of defensively, I think Duke's a really sound defensive team. I think, kind of got away from us a little bit against Arizona, but I don't blame the defense in losing that game. I think we just offensively kind of lost our identity and lost a little bit of flow. Defensively, where do you see Duke at this early in the season?
I think we're a really solid defensive team. I think you know the mainstay of our team defense is the ball pressure. And that starts at the point of attack with Tyrese and whoever else is guarding the ball at the time. If they could keep guys out the lane, and just keep them on the perimeter, force them sideline or whichever way John wants to force them, I think uh, we got a chance to be special defensively, and we're doing a good job. Even against Arizona, we played really good defense. What I'm saying, as far as
Agreed.
like, stopping Caleb Love and just stopping certain guys, and other guys on that team for the Arizona game. Other guys stepped up that, Duke didn't really account for. And, in Michigan State, it was the same thing. So I think the focus on our team is always going to be on the perimeter and being able to stop those guys, stop the guards. And if we can do that, keep those guys out the lane and just pressure the ball, deny the wings. I think we got a chance to be special, man, on the defensive end. But only time will tell, man. As we go further along in the season, we'll have more tests. Not Arizona, but Arkansas will be a test because they got a plethora of guards. So I'm looking forward to that game and see what we could do as far as on the defensive end. I think we're going to be straight. Yeah. And so, that's where I think our strength is, man, perimeter defense.
Yeah, kind of switching gears a little bit, D. I thought that Izzo was going to try to focus in on Filipowski. He's obviously the best player on Duke, coming off of two 25-point games in the first two contests. He threw doubles, he threw triples. I thought that initially, the team kind of struggled with that. One of the reasons I think is because I think we struggled hitting outside shots, finding open guys. We did a much better job of that in the second half. Obviously, Foster's the one that hit him. I also thought Flip did a better job of understanding, letting the defense come to him, and find the open man. What can Duke do better to help make it easier to get open looks, meaning that, when Flip does eventually get doubled and sometimes triple teamed, making it a lot easier for him to pass out of it for open looks versus having a cross lane pass a lot of times, which you kind of hold your breath every time that happens. What
Sure.
would you like to see them do there?
Well, I think first thing you got to space the floor, right? Like you can't get open looks unless you're not moving without the ball and spacing the floor. So we need to space the floor not only to create open jump shots, open driving lanes, but we need to space the floor so that Flip can work down low also. Because some of the same things that we were nitpicking on me and AC were in spaces pregame about his footwork that he still needs to clean up from his freshman year. He's still got the same bad habits, is what we called it. He showed that, I've got a drop step move. Like I got a drop step, pump fake, left hand move in me. Watch me. So I think we need to start there first. Let's work with Flip inside out is what I think it needs to happen. But that only happens with floor spacing. You have to space the floor. You have to get to those spots and give him lanes to pass you the ball and hit those jump shots.
Yeah, Pablo, what do you got on that?
Yeah, so just to add on to what D's saying, I mean, he's right. He's right in everything he said. I think another thing to it is our guards. We got to get more penetration. I think our guards are like halfway committing a lot of times and not really getting to the rim. And when I say penetration, I'm not mean just go by your man and pull up. I'm talking about getting all the way to the rim. And a big culprit is Tyrese Proctor. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's almost like he's halfway committing. He's going by his guy or coming off the screen, when off a ball screen, and he's just looking to pass. He's not really getting into the lane, doing that, jump stopping 2 feet and kicking it out, or jump stopping 2 feet, getting to the rim. He's not doing none of that. You know what I mean? Like he's like, I just don't understand why he's doing it, but he's halfway committing, man. And if we could get him, Jeremy Roach and Caleb Foster, he's doing it. He's getting to the rim. You know what I'm saying? He's getting to the rim. If we could get Jeremy Roach and Tyrese to get to the rim, that's going to create a lot more opportunities for us as well. And it will also create more opportunities for them. You'll see their scoring averages go up because they're going to stay at the free throw line. It's not many guys that stay in front of them on defense. So I don't understand why, we're doing all this halfway committing instead of just getting all the way to the rim and, putting our heads down and making a decision and getting there and scoring, or attempting to score at least.
Yeah, I kind of wrote about that on Patreon in my first ever TK's thoughts, but we
Yeah.
also said it on the podcast where we kind of felt with Tyrese, in these first 3 games. Let's be honest with ourselves, like he's not the player we kind of thought would jump out, especially after the exhibition too. Like he shut lights out. But we talked about this where he's not committing, he's not decisive, he's not, you know, going with conviction to whatever he's trying to do. And you saw it again, Tuesday night against Michigan State. I'd like to see him do that a little bit better because at the end of the day, that opens up a lot of different things, and he's he's the primary ball handler. So I'd like to
Mhm.
see that happen. You brought up Jeremy Roach. We know Jeremy has the ability, and the thing about Jeremy Roach is we've seen him do that a few times this year when he's like, okay, screw it, I'm just gonna do that myself.
Yeah.
And I kind of, I mean, we talk about that one on the baseline at the end of the game. What a filthy move that was. He had that kid on skates, knocking that, baseline jumper down on the left side. I mean, as much as the Caleb Foster one was a dagger, that was a dagger too. And, it comes from nobody other than Jeremy Roach. But I think Pablo's spot on here. I think in terms of our guards, Foster kind of has that, freshman ignorance, if you will. Like, he's not afraid of anything. He's just going to go. And sometimes that works to your favor, sometimes it doesn't. But I think Tyrese has to get there.
Well, I don't even think it's freshman ignorance from Foster. I think he's just a flat out hooper, and he was brought here to score points, and that's what he's going to do is score points. And we saw that against Michigan State. And we can go back to the Countdown to Craziness podcast where we sit, all of us, all 5 of us. It's going to be hard to keep him off the court.
No doubt.
But I'll give it to Pablo when he said this dude can score, and he can score at will, and he will score at will. And he proved it against Michigan State. Proctor's going to have to get better. Like, he can't rely on that floater. He's got an elite layup package. He can get to the rim. He's 6'5". There's no reason for him to be hanging back. And I quite honestly don't really have an explanation why, or can see why he's not, or anything. I mean, I think the nation thought he would be a better player at this stage in going on the 4th game of the season.
Yeah, I mean, I looked up the numbers for him, Pablo, real
quick.
quick.
You've seen spurts against Michigan State of what Proctor can be, but we need to see that for 28 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, his last 3 games of the year and his first 3 games this year pretty much mirror themselves outside of the assist numbers. Yeah. And, the assist numbers, that's fantastic, but we're asking him to do a lot more because he's capable of doing a lot more. So Pablo, we talked about, being kind of indecisive and, lacking a little bit of conviction. What else can he do? What can John do to get him going?
So another thing that they can do, because of the offense that we're running, it's like we are literally just running like a 4-out type offense, 1 in, sometimes a 5-out, and it's just really just ball screen action on the top with like a motion, some pistol action, things you could do, man, to really, well, first and foremost, if I was the coach, I'm getting in his face, what I'm saying? I'm letting him know that you're better than this. We need you to be better than this, and we need you to play better. And that's just the bottom line. But from a coaching perspective, some things you could do that people don't really see and they don't really think about. If he changes the angles, like Ryan Young is a good screener, Kyle Filipowski said good screens. If they change the angle slightly on these screens, instead of catching a ball on the wing and, he's setting a screen just for him to go back up to the top of the key, it doesn't make any sense, man. If he changed the angle of the screen to get these guys to go downhill and really turn the corner, that's another way that you could kind of influence your guards, you know what I'm saying, to let them know, like, this is the direction that you should be going. You know what I mean? As a coach, there's things that you could do to get these guys going. But as a player, they have to turn that mentality in a certain direction so they can understand what the coach is doing. And once they sync up and they're on the same page, it all married together, and you'll see harmony. But until then, man, like, you're going to see a lot of possessions from Duke to where it's basically empty possessions. shot clock winding down. They got to shoot it real fast, things like that. You know what I'm saying? The offense just needs to be a lot more efficient. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I thought that there were multiple times when, looking at some of those ball screen situations where, yeah, the screen is set, but they're bad angles. Like you said, they're bad angles. They're not getting that shoulder down where they're trying to go downhill. You just kind of like bump out. You just kind of like bump out. That's not going to get it done. Because
Yeah.
you're allowing the defense to guard you easily on both ends. You're not even allowing it to, have a slip screen, which worked really well
Yeah.
last year, especially in the second half of last year. Those
Yeah.
slip screens were so effective, especially with Jeremy Roach and Lively and Filipowski. So I'd like to
Yeah.
see them try to shore that up real quick. But I agree with you in terms of like Shire getting into his face. Like, you have the ability to be the best player not only on the court and on this team, but in the country if you do the things correctly. I'm not worried
Yeah.
about his shot. I'm not worried about his defense. Just those are things that they'll come easily. I'm not worried about either one of those.
I
One
mean,
of the things that go ahead if you want to add something to it.
well, I mean, I was just gonna say, you threw me off when you called my name, but no, I mean, like you were saying, like you got to get into that mentality, and getting downhill is going to open those lanes that you mentioned in your first question. Like, how do we get more open looks to knock down those open jump shots? This is how. What Pablo just said: get downhill, set your screen hard, run to the basket. But you have to do that with spacing too. Like I've seen way too many possessions where you set that screen, he doesn't go downhill, he bumps out, and now you've got four dudes right there, damn near on the box. And what are we doing? We're dribbling for 15 seconds around the 3-point line. I mean, it's
Yeah, man,
ridiculous
it's
with
true.
all this
Yeah.
talent on the court. I'm just going to have to vent for a second and say it. I mean, it's really sad to see a stagnant offense like that with that much talent on the court in one time.
Yeah. I'll add on to that too, just real quick. And there, I know we talked about this before. I don't know if I talked about it with AC or whatever, but we setting so many screens. So if you got a guy like Cal Filipowski, that's going to be the screener, that's going to set screens, or Mark Mitchell, guys who pass fairly well. Filipowski is a really good passer. I think Mark Mitchell passes fairly well. If they're going to be the screener, you know what I'm saying? You can have these guys slip screens. You can have these guys short roll out of a screen, hold a screen just for a second, short roll out of it. And then once they get the ball, the court is open for them to make a decision. You know what I'm saying? They're going to have to commit to Mark Mitchell or Filipowski going to the rim. The defense is going to have to commit. Now, if the defense is going to commit to that, you know what I'm saying? You're going to have guys to kick the ball out to the shoot. McCain hasn't, particularly been hot, you know what I'm saying? But he can shoot. We know he can shoot it. You know what I'm saying? So
Sure.
he'll be fine. He'll get it. He'll get in his groove. Jeremy Roach could stick it. Tyrese could stick it. You know what I'm saying? So Caleb Foster obviously could shoot it. So at the end of the day, man, like coaching wise, it's some things that I know that John Shire will shore up. He's gonna look at the tape. He's gonna realize that, I have the personnel to do certain things, and I think he should do it. You know what I'm saying? Like that's one of the biggest things. Like if you just look at like a Golden State, like Filipowski, you use him like Golden State uses Draymond Green. He slips so many screens, he pops, he short rolls, and once he does that, he gets the ball. It's his time to make a decision, and he makes the right reads almost every single time. Flip could
Yeah.
do that,
And
so
it's
we can
almost
do
like
it.
giving him the opportunity to make that right decision. We're not even giving him the opportunity to make the right decision at this point.
Yeah, yeah. No, you're right, and hopefully, you know what I'm saying, that happens soon. You know what I mean? Because if we do that, that just makes us so much more dangerous, bro. Because
Yeah.
like D said, that ball screen offense and just really not amounting to nothing like in these late possessions and stuff, and we're not getting to the rim, and then the offense is getting stagnant. It's not gonna work against teams like Virginia that runs a pack line defense. That shit ain't gonna work.
No,
You know what
and
I'm saying? They just gonna stand there and stonewall the hell out of you, and
I
then you're
will
just gonna be
say,
stuck last second shot.
I'll
Go
say
ahead, D.
this. I'll say this, and then we can get to the next subject. Anytime you're not moving without the ball or not moving at all on basketball is probably not a good thing. Like
Yeah.
movement is key to this game, and it is key to Duke's offense. That's why they call it the motion. That's why the pick and roll, the pick and run. I mean, it's not the pick and slide. It's get downhill, find, sit, like visualize the defense just like a football field. Who comes at you? Who's open? Can I get to the rim? Can I pass it? And without movement, that doesn't work. If everybody's standing still under the basket, that doesn't work. You can't dribble and shoot.
Yeah, I feel like there are multiple times for Duke where, I mean, movement's great when, is helping people get open. But movement when, you're calling a specific play, you're doing some sort of, screen action, and then that fails. Now everybody's just kind of standing around and be like, well, what now? And I kind of feel like that's where Duke's been. That's where you see a lot of the pounding of the ball on the ground. You see a lack of ball movement. And then, lo and behold, there's 6 seconds on the shot clock. Somebody has to go one-on-one and jack something up. Like that's kind of where I feel Duke has been. So I'd love to see more movement, but I feel like, it's kind of like we're calling one play. Shit doesn't work. It hits the fan, and then it's like, what the fuck? What do we do now?
Then you reset it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's simple, right? You reset it.
But one thing that I want to talk about Jaden McCain. I want to say that he obviously didn't play well. He, watched Foster just go off. I mean, that's what he did. Foster's the reason we won that game, as we said before at the start. Pablo, we talked about this offline, but in terms of, I'm seeing a lot of Duke fans out there saying, how do you not put Foster in the starting lineup now? Where do you sit with that? I kind of like Foster coming off the bench being a nice scoring punch.
Yeah, no, I mean, I would leave it as is. You don't need him to start right now. I think, him, providing that leadership and that scoring punch off the bench is key. You know what I'm saying? And Duke obviously needs a shot in the arm on offense sometimes, and that's him. You know what I mean? I would leave the starting lineup as is. I would, like I said, I would bring Caleb and some other guys off the bench, and he scored 18 points off the bench. He basically playing starter minutes. So
16 in the second half.
Yeah,
29 minutes.
Yeah, we don't need to change anything at all, man. I think it's fine how it is. He's doing well. He's happy. He's content. Let him cook, man. Let him do his thing. Let him cook. It's not gonna hurt his draft stock or anything. So I think we're fine, man. I would leave it as is.
And like you said, Pablo, like that's a great 1-2 punch because McCain is gonna start getting hot.
Right.
Like he's not a bad basketball player. There's a reason he's in the starting lineup. So when he's subbing in when he's the first man in off the bench for McCain, and now you're getting punched in the mouth again, that's going to be that's a devastating front court. I mean, that's devastating.
Yeah, and another thing too is just being able to settle a team. You know what I mean? Because Tyrese can't play all the minutes. You know what I mean? When he goes out the game anyway, you know what I mean? You need a guy that's going to settle the team. You know what I mean? And Caleb Foster, he's out. He obviously plays beyond his years. He looks like a fucking 2-3 year college player out there just based off his poise. And that's not even just so much gameplay or what he's doing out there as far as scoring. I'm just talking about strictly his poise, his demeanor, and how he runs the team. He's never really in a hurry or anything. He has a certain pace that he plays at. And it's good for them. So, having him come off the bench is good. Will he start a few games this year? I don't know. Maybe. It's possible, I guess, but I don't think that they need him to right now.
No.
Yeah, I agree with this. I want to touch on the poise real quick. I thought there was one play in the second half where, Michigan State was going on a little bit of a run. Duke gets a rebound, and it kind of going back and forth. Pass goes to Foster. And I'm as a fan, 41 years old, but slow it down. First thing he does, he slows it down. He understands the game. To your point, Pablo, he understands the game a lot better than most freshmen would. A lot of Duke players were already, racing down the court, but he slowed it down correctly. And I think the other thing, real quick before we polish off this segment, is I would keep the roster as is, starting lineup wise, because there's no need to, and I don't know that this will necessarily happen, but there's no need to strip any confidence away from McCain either. Let
Yeah,
McCain go, let him be, the shots will fall. None of the shots that he took on Tuesday night were terrible shots. They just
No.
didn't go in. I'm okay
yeah,
with that. I think he played fine. He just didn't make any shots.
Yeah. And
yeah,
those shots will start to fall, and there's no need to ruffle the feathers of a locker room that's content. Like if everybody's happy in their role right now, roll the train down the track. We're fine. Now,
yeah,
that being said, I think we need to see more of Sean Stewart. I think Sean Stewart could take some of Mark's minutes. I'm not going to be the one to call people out on anything, but there were times where Mark lost his guy, and that could be some coaching, and maybe he needs to guard a different role, but he did lose his man, and that was on video, and it's fact. Sean Stewart plays well, and if not great, every time he comes in. In the small amount of minutes that we've seen him, he always does his job. That's all I'm going to say about the rotation.
Yeah, Pablo, what do you want to respond to that?
So as far as McCain goes, we're gonna have games this year that McCain hits 4 or 5 3-pointers. So, and McCain, he's a gamer, man. He's a fucking great basketball player. He's never gonna be the type that's really. I don't really think you could shake his confidence. You know what I mean? Because he just has that demeanor and that swagger that he's just not worried about that shit. You know what I mean? He's still gonna come out there and compete.
Facts.
And one thing that he did, one thing that he's done all 3 games is play great defense.
Yep.
And that's always been a constant for him. So. I'm not really worried about McCain. I'm not worried about him at all. As far as Sean Stewart goes, I think he will play more. I'm not sure, whose minutes he gets. Honestly, I don't really care whose minutes he gets. I do think he needs to play a little more just because he's an energy guy.
Yeah.
And he's really the only vertical spacer that we have. You know what I'm saying? As far
He's
as being
the
a lob
leaper
threat and all that. So, but it's all about putting your players in a position to succeed, man. You know what I'm saying? You can't put Sean Stewart in the game and then stick him in the corner.
Yeah,
You know
I mean, Sean Stewart kind of he reminds me a little bit of Corey Maggette, his freshman year, the only year he played at Duke, in terms of I'm not really sure where you put the guy. He's such a superior athlete to everybody else on the floor. Where there's a hell of a lot of talent. I know they're different players, but it's kind of like you can't leave him off the floor though. Sean Stewart's not going to be like Maggette where he can step out and shoot threes for this team. But in terms of getting around the rim and jumping over people and getting putbacks, that's what Sean Stewart can do, and he can guard 1 through 5.
Yeah.
I just think that in terms of who he's going to take minutes from, I'm not sure that Mitchell's that guy. I'd like to see some different lineups where he and Mitchell may play at the same time, just to see what it looks like. I just want to see what different lineups look like with Sean Stewart, because I think he is versatile and he can do a lot of different things. And if we're being honest about it, who would I rather have take a jumper right now? Probably Sean Stewart over Mark Mitchell. I mean, let's just be honest about it. But
free throws, I'll take Mark Mitchell though.
Well, I mean, Mark Mitchell, knock on wood. I mean, John was 9 for 9 from the line, and he hit some clutch ones. So I'm not taking anything away from Mark Mitchell. I don't think that Sean Stewart is going to take Mark Mitchell's spot or minutes. Yeah. I think it's going to come from Ryan Young. I think that
did they not play together against Michigan State, TK?
They did, but I mean, Sean Stewart only played 3 minutes.
Yeah, but they were good minutes. I mean, I know that sounds crazy talking about 3 minutes of basketball, but they had a couple turnovers together at the rim, I believe.
They did, yeah. And honestly, I thought that Sean Stewart played better against Arizona than he did against Michigan State. I thought that there were a couple, miscues defensively, misassignments defensively for Sean. But again, I don't care about any of that. I would just like to see him get more minutes. And I think in the next 3 games against Cupcakes, we'll see a little bit more Sean Stewart, try to get him comfortable and let him work through some of those mistakes.
I would think so.
But, again, we'll take a win. A win is a win. We'll
Sure.
take it any way we can get it. I do want to switch gears though, and Pablo bring you in. There has been some Duke fans, hitting me up, sliding into the DMs, asking me they're afraid of what happened. VJ going to St. John's on his official. They're throwing the bag at him. It went extremely well. Is there cause for concern with VJ coming to Duke?
No, I don't think it's no cause for concern. I think anytime yeah, people gotta understand, man. Like as far as recruiting goes, man, it's always gonna be a fluid situation, and things could change, and it could go either way, right? But the thing about it too is that when you get a prospect, the caliber of a VJ Edgecombe, a Cooper Flag, and those guys, any school that they visit, the fucking college that they're visiting is gonna go completely out. They
Yeah.
all out. You know what I'm saying? To try to get them. So they're gonna tell them everything they need to hear. They did the same thing to Patrick, yeah, at Kansas State.
Yeah.
Where's he going to school? You know what I'm saying? Like, come on now. So it's nothing to really worry about, man. Like I said, like if we get him, we get him. If we don't, we don't. But he is not even close to making a decision right now. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not gonna say not close to making a decision, but I'll say that. So I'll say that I think, I think we're okay. I'll say we're okay.
All right.
I'll definitely say that we're okay.
Fair enough.
You know what I'm saying? And you gotta think about it. These are 18-year-old kids, man, that, they choosing to do something for the rest of not the rest of their life, but the next, year, 2, 3, 4 years, however long they stay in college. So they want to make sure that it's right. Obviously, he loves Duke, he likes Duke, he thinks it's right. But he's keeping his shit tight-lipped. You know what I'm saying? I heard that the visit at St. John's was dope. You know what I'm saying? But the visit at Duke was dope. So, you know what I'm saying? Like there's a
Right.
lot, there's a lot more to it. And it'll all come to a head soon enough. And
No, he's not going to come out and say I had a terrible time.
yeah,
You know what I
no,
mean? I mean,
sure.
it's anytime
sure.
the recruiting, how the campus visit go comes out. I'm like,
Mhm.
whatever. All I know is I saw him with my own two eyes, and he had the biggest smile on his face out of all the recruits at Duke. So
Yeah, no, for sure. And it just I just think that when it comes to recruiting and when it comes to Duke, us as fans, we expect it to just be in the bag and just wrapped
yeah,
up so quick. Like, yeah, we had
Yeah.
a shitload of momentum coming out of a countdown, and we just got recruit after recruit. Everybody signing, and everybody was thinking like, oh yeah, VJ, 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 and that's what everybody thought. You know what I'm saying, including myself. I felt really, really confident that he'd make a decision quick, but then it came out that he wasn't signing early, so we knew he wasn't going to do the early signing period thing. So now it's just like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's okay. You know what I'm saying? Like we're good. Everybody's still in contact. We're gonna be fine. We're gonna be fine. I see VJ's going to Duke.
yeah, I believe it.
There we go. Anything additional? I mean, I feel like a broken record asking you this about Dylan Harper. I mean, I don't know what they. No, but does anybody know what he's going to do?
Nobody knows what he's gonna do. I don't even think Dylan Harper knows what he's gonna do.
I
To be
agree.
honest,
I agree with that.
you know what
Is
I'm
G
saying?
League an option?
Yeah. What's that?
Is G League an option for him?
Uh, I mean, for a player like that, it's always an option. But I heard he wants to go to college.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's what I heard. He wants to go to college.
If you're
But
trying
I
to
also
build your
heard,
brand, though, real quick, like you'd rather go to
I
college
also
than the
heard
G League. I mean,
he wants to win in college too. I also
Yeah,
heard that. So, you know what I'm saying? There you go. You know what I'm saying?
more writing.
I don't really see that happening too much at, at the other school that everybody thinks he's gonna go to. But um yeah, no, I think his is gonna play out how it plays out, man. It's gonna take a little bit. I think, but like we've always said, the longer it goes, the better for Duke, because I think it just kind of puts it gives them something to think about. Give them something to think about. Look at that recruiting class we got coming in. Match it up to the other school, and it's just a bunch of different things. He's got the family dynamic, like it's a bunch of things. Like for him, it's going to be a lot harder for him than it is for VJ Edgecombe. I'll tell you that, as
Yeah.
far as decision wise.
The other thing is that I agree with you in terms of the longer it goes, the better it is for Duke. One of the reasons is we don't know for sure what McCain and Foster are going to do. I know a guy like Dylan Harper and probably VJ to the same extent. Players of that caliber, they're not afraid of anybody. They're not afraid of who's on the roster, who's not. But it sure as shit doesn't hurt if those guys aren't there, because it just means more touches, more minutes, more shots for them.
Yeah. No, for sure. I think that's definitely something that guys like that to look at anyway. You know what I mean? Especially like like we seen like the breakout of like Caleb Foster, right? And if you're a point guard and you want to go to Duke and Caleb Foster is a point guard and you see how well he's playing, you probably should wait for his decision. You know what I'm saying? Because if he comes back to Duke next year, guess what? He has the ball in his hands.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's the bottom line. You know what I mean? If he bolts for the NBA, guess what? You have the ball in your hands.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So what are you going to do? And that's the beauty of it all. And that's why these guys can wait as long as they want. They can go, like what, March. When's the national championship is normally what, the end of or
early
April. Early
April.
April.
Like
Second
April 3rd,
weekend of April, first week in April.
Yeah, and that those guys could literally wait, you know what I mean, commit to Duke or whatever and come to school in the summertime and that's if, CFOS leaves. So yeah,
Right.
no, I mean it only, and I think a certain recruit is thinking the same way we're thinking. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'll say about that.
Yeah, I mean, very often it's common sense that prevails, and so it makes sense for them to wait and see what happens. They're both backcourt players. We got a couple backcourt stud freshmen. We're going to see what they do. So let's wrap this one up, though. We got 3 games that we're going to preview because, it is, coming up on Thanksgiving Day in a week from today. So we got 3 games coming up. Bucknell tomorrow night. Then we play with Salle, and then Southern Indiana next Friday. I don't know shit about any of these 3 teams. D, I don't know if you know anything about these 3 teams. Pablo, do you? I mean, normally I catch AC on this one and be like, yo, give me some sort of breakdown.
I don't know shit about them. I ain't even gonna lie to you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we can throw out a bunch of predictions, in terms of like Bucknell tomorrow night. I think they're trash. I think we come out. We're at home. The crazies won't be there. Maybe we start a little bit slower. So I'll throw out like an 88 to like 51 type of prediction for Bucknell. D, what do you got?
I think you want to see 80 plus regardless. Like, I don't want to say use these as warm-up games, but we should use these games as something to work on. Like, let's fix the little things, because let's not pretend that these aren't D1 schools. Like, these are NCAA schools. These are also athletes. These are athletes that probably have a chip on their shoulder that they weren't recruited to a school like Duke. You know what I mean? So this is their Super Bowl. They're going to be on TV. So I don't think it's going to be a cakewalk, but we need to see Duke dominate all 3 of these games.
Facts.
Yeah, that's fair. In terms of, instead of getting into like a bunch of predictions that we have no clue about, which I just gave, but let's talk about what would you like to see in terms of like the rotation, and kind of getting some of the Sean Stewarts, the TJ Powers, some more minutes, and kind of let them kind of figure some things out. Because the one question mark I actually kind of had before we get to Sean Stewart is TJ Power. Does he have a chance at a rotational spot this year? That's one thing I just don't know.
D?
Honestly, no, I don't think so. But I think he knew that coming in. I think we could see that on the floor. Could he get some minutes here and there situationally if they needed some shot maker? Probably, yeah, maybe. But no, I don't think he gets run before Reeves and Stewart do. No, not with Foster playing the way he is, especially.
Yeah, I don't. I'm with you, D. I don't really see a world to where barring an injury or something like that. But I don't see a world to where TJ really gets a lot of burn. And I mean, these next 3 games should be blowouts.
Right.
So he might get in then. But if we're playing, a team of substance, I just don't think
Everything
it's
that
going to
way.
happen unless he just shows something very, very, very incredible to John Shire, and then John Shire would be willing to play him. But until then, I just don't think it's his time right now. You know what I mean? I don't think it's his time. I think you work other guys in the rotation
Yeah.
to get their confidence up more than TJ Power right now, and that would be, I think Sean Stewart's confidence is fine. I think it's fine where
Yeah.
it's at. But I think you got to find a way to get him minutes. I think Christian Reeves is a guy who you need to work on confidence wise, and you got to get him minutes because ultimately, he can make a really big difference for your team if you get him out there. I don't know why he's not. Obviously, I'm not on the team or I'm not around him like that, so I don't know why he's not playing.
Same.
But I would love to see him get some minutes for sure.
Yeah, I mean that's the one thing that I did write about, which is I think that's the elephant in the room is Christian Reeve. That's kind of where I wanted to end the entire podcast, is talking a few minutes about him and what in the next 3 games. I was kind of surprised that he didn't play at all against Michigan State, and I'm not the biggest Christian Reeves, guy. I still think end of January, early February. But these 3 games, they're big in my opinion for him to kind of, to your point, get that confidence up, get him some minutes. I'd like to see him get some of those minutes early, playing with the
Yeah,
starters, not those
yeah,
garbage minutes where the game's already out of reach and then it doesn't really matter as much. I'd like to see it early. I'd like to see within the first 5 to 6 minutes of the first half. Okay, instead of bringing Ryan Young, who already knows what his role is, he's comfortable with it. He's a team guy. He'll do whatever. I'm bringing Christian Reeves.
Agreed. I think we've all said this before. Like Reeves only gets better with reps and game time. You can't simulate game time in practice, and you're not going to get better with game time reps, not with the first team. If we want to see the real Christian Reeves in February, March, and into April, he needs game reps now. So I would absolutely support him coming off the bench second, first, second, third, anywhere in that 8 rotation.
Yeah, no, I'm
for the rest of the season, quite honestly. Right?
Yeah, hell yeah, I'm with you on that. I think we could really use his size and his ability to finish at the rim. So yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, I'd like to see that go, and then in terms of that, other than that, I'd like to see Tyrese Proctor get a couple things going. See a couple shots go down early, get his confidence, get his decisiveness back. Same with McCain. I'm not worried about McCain. I'm not worried about Tyrese either. But those two, I'd like to see them at least see a couple shots go down so that, on the 29th, when we go do play Arkansas in the ACC SEC challenge, that he's feeling confident. He's ready to go.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So do we have any predictions then? Do we want to throw anything out there, for the fellas?
80,
AC didn't give me anything. Jack gave me nothing.
You need to see 80 plus out of these guys next 3 games for sure.
Yeah, I think 80 plus is the bare minimum for all three games for them.
Agreed.
And then I'd like to see it between 50 and 65 defensively.
Yeah,
I'll give you that.
No, for sure. I'm with y'all on that, man. I just want to see. I want Duke to win decisively. I want them to work some of their guys in that don't really get that much time, and I think these are games that they could really work on their offense as well. Try to figure some things out.
Commitment to rebounding, your movement without the ball, like some actual offensive sets, running the ball, like pushing in fast break. Like that's the stuff I want to see in these next 3 games.
No doubt. All right. Well, with that, we wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. We got 3 games to go. Bucknell, LaSalle, Southern Indiana. We have no idea how those are going to go, except Duke's going to blow the doors off all 3, and hopefully some of our guys get back to playing time. Eat your turkey, enjoy your tryptophan. Let's go Duke.
Go Duke.
And as AC always says at the end of these, check us out on Twitter, check us out on Instagram, and check us out on Patreon. D, is it free?
It is free right now.
It is free right now. Check out the Coach's Corner. TK's thoughts. Dee's going to have some commentary coming up as soon. I know Jack's going to as well. Thanks again, everybody, for tuning in. Let's go, Duke.
Go Duke.
Oh, dude.